Hi, hello everyone. My name's Ying, one of the young adult librarians here at the Levittown Public Library. We are very happy to have Amy Diarco here today. Amy is going to talk about her experience of last 7 years in publishing. Okay, Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have been doing?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk about working in publishing. I have worked in publishing for the last 7 years. I worked as an assistant editor for 2 years at Skyhorse Publishing, and I have worked at Penguin Random House for the last 5 years as an associate sales manager. Um, when I was working as an editor, we did a lot of reading manuscripts, working with authors to edit their books, helping them choose what they wanted their cover to look like, and seeing the book through from manuscript to finished book that you would get in a store. In sales now, I work on the other end of things that once the book is finished, I work to help get the book into stores. Not every store will sell every book. For example, if you walk into Target, they have a small book section. So it's very competitive which books they will sell. So I work to try to help get our books into those slots.
Very nice. Okay. So a couple of things. Let's start with how did you find this job? How did you get started in this area?
So I went to NYU and I studied English. I studied American and British literature, and I've always loved books. When I started in undergrad, I thought I wanted to be a journalist. I thought I wanted to be a writer and work for a newspaper. But after trying it out, I realized I didn't like it. I didn't like writing for the NYU newspaper at all. So I visited my school's career center. They always visit your school's career center. They are very, very helpful. And they gave me this little quiz about what I liked to do, things that I didn't like to do. And I liked to read and I liked to write a little bit. And they recommended that I look into publishing. So when I was in college, I did a couple of internships. I interned at Macmillan and Simon and Schuster, and then I interned with a literary agency, and I got to experience working in publishing, and that's how I knew that I really liked it. And I always recommend, if you're interested in a field but you're not sure if you like it, to definitely try to get an internship.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that actually leads to my another question. How the person can find the internship, like any place they can find it, like on paper, online, school, work center, job center, this place.
I would definitely recommend checking your school's career center. A lot of times, companies will ask the schools, well, they will send a job opening to the school saying, we have an opening for this internship. Do you have anyone that would be interested? For publishing specifically, there are a couple of websites you can check out. There's one called bookjobs.com, and that will list internships from multiple companies. There's another website called Publishers Lunch. They will also list internships from multiple companies. If there's a specific publisher that you're interested in, like I work at Penguin Random House, you can always go to our website, penguinrandomhouse.com, and we list internships on our website as well. We also post them on our Facebook page, and a lot of other publishers have their openings posted on their Facebook pages as well.
I see. Yeah. Okay. There are lots of resources online, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to know where to look. When I was looking, I remember I had no idea about any of these websites, and it was the school's career center that started to point me in the right direction.
What type of education and training or experience is necessary for this kind of work?
To work in publishing, I don't know if this would be training exactly, but you definitely need to like to read. You have to enjoy it because you will be reading books no matter what part of publishing you work in. If you're an editor, if you work in sales, if you work in marketing or publicity or production, you will be reading books and you have to enjoy it because that is a good chunk of your workload. Most companies will ask for a bachelor's degree in something related to the business, like English, journalism, creative writing. If you want to work in marketing, a marketing degree would help, or a business degree would help. But beyond that, there's no other formal requirements.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Okay, then could you run me through your typical day?
Yeah, one thing that you will often hear from people who work in publishing is that there's no typical day per se. Everything changes. It depends on if there are big books publishing that week or if there's a holiday coming up. But most days will include a little bit of reading. You will read a book that is coming out soon so you can understand what it's about, so you can help sell it to the stores that need to carry it. If you're working as an editor, you'll be reading and editing manuscripts. And it's a lot of talking to other people. So good people skills are really important. I spend a lot of my day emailing authors, emailing just other people in the company for help with things. You need every part of the book to do your job. So sometimes you need a manuscript from someone. So you have to email and ask for that. Sometimes you need the cover of the book. You need to know what it looks like because someone wants to know. So you have to email and ask for cover of the book. There are lots of meetings that happen during the day. We have lots of conferences. We have a launch conference, which is where we learn about all the new books that are coming up. Then we have a sales conference, which is where we learn when the books are going to go on sale and some more details about them. We learn what the book is about, what the cover will look like. And then we have like the on sale date when the book actually goes on sale. We get a bunch of updates then about the book. And these meetings will take place every 4 or 5 months, and they can be all day meetings.
Okay. So would you say that's it's a more like teamwork than solo independent work?
Yes, it definitely is a teamwork. I have a team that I work very closely with every day. There are people that I email constantly to ask for things and ask for help too. And everyone is very supportive and very helping, which is really nice.
I see. Yeah. It leads to my another question is so your general working condition, it's kind of you can work from home for most of time, or you have to go to the office to get the work done.
So this has changed a lot because of the pandemic. Before the pandemic, everything was in New York City. So you would have to go into the office and the office would be in the city. And all the major publishing companies have their offices in New York City. Penguin Random House, where I work, Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, HarperCollins, they are all in New York City. And it used to be that if you didn't live in New York, you had a really hard time getting a job at one of these companies because they wanted you to go into the city. But because we've had the pandemic for the last 2 years, they let us work from home and now they've opened up the job pool. So you don't have to live in New York anymore to apply. We have people in Tennessee and Florida and California. So you can work from home and work anywhere to be anywhere to work at these companies now.
Okay, that's good.
It is really good. It's been a really nice change.
So technology has changed the way traditional work places used to work. So how does technology affect book editing?
So it has changed publishing dramatically. In my very first job, I worked for someone who had been in the company. He had been working in publishing for over 20 years. So when he started, there weren't computers, there weren't laptops. So everything had to be done by paper. So an author would send a paper copy of their book to him, and then he would edit it. He would write on the paper all the changes that he wanted the author to make. And then he would send it back to them, and the author would make those changes. And they would either be handwriting them or they would have to find a typewriter or a word processor. And it was a lot harder when he first started to get that kind of technology to type. Because nowadays, there are computers everywhere, so you can just go and type. So then they would do all of that on paper. And one thing with books is when it comes to designing the interior of the books, you get the layout. So you see what the printed book will look like, what the spacing will look like, if there are pictures. So 10, 15 years ago, they were printing out all of those proofs. They were called page proofs. And all of those page proofs would have to be shipped back and forth from the editor to the author, to the sales team, to the marketing team, to the publicity team. But now technology is just getting better and better. Well, all of those proofs are digital. An author can view everything online, can make their changes online, and we can just email it back and forth. So there's no mailing physical packages of pages, which is a really nice change. And technology is just getting better and better. So people can design covers online entirely. There's no more hand drawing it. If they want to hand draw it, they can draw it, but you can do everything digitally. authors can send their manuscripts via Word document as an attachment to us, which is great. And we can make all of our changes, and there's track changes in Microsoft Word. So you can keep track of things to see, I made this change the first time, then the author made another change when they were editing it. Now I want to make a third change, but then the author says, no, actually, I want to go back to that very first thing that we did. And it's all in Microsoft Word, so we can keep track of that. And we don't have to go back to a physical printed copy and flip through all of the pages to find it.
Yeah. To work more efficiently. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And now with video conferencing too, from the pandemic, a big thing is that you used to have to schedule a meeting with your author, have them travel to New York City, have them fly in, sit down with them and meet them. But now you can have a video call with them, which is great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's much more accepted now, where everyone is learning how to use Zoom, and it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, that's true. That's awesome.
We love technology.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Would you say it's like 9 to 5 work, or it's a 24/7 like kind of based work? Yeah.
Depends what part of publishing you work in. So when I work in sales, that is a 9 to 5 job, because I work with stores, and the stores are mostly open 9 to 5. Some stores are open later, but I don't really have to work a lot with them. That we do most of our business from 9 to 5. If you're working in marketing or publicity, if your author is going to be on Good Morning America at 7 in the morning, then you have to be up at 7 in the morning as their publicist to make sure everything goes smoothly there. If you're working in editing, sometimes your day is just so busy that you run out of time, and then it's easy to take a manuscript home to read it and edit it and work on it. So some departments have different work expectations. Like publicity will expect that you are up if your author is on Good Morning America at 7 in the morning. Sales is more 9 to 5. Editorial is mostly 9 to 5, sometimes a little bit later. Production, in where you are designing what the book will look like and the cover, that's also more 9 to 5, because you can't take, your computer has the technology, the software to do the layout design, and a lot of people don't have that on their home computers. So when they go home, they're done.
Right. Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah. Best part of your job, or the most challenging part of your job?
I think the best part of my job is just reading books. I love to read the books.
Yeah.
And I love to talk about books. So part of my job in sales right now is that I have to convince these accounts, these stores, to sell our book. Why should you sell our book over a book from another company? So to do that, I read our books, and then I get to talk to these people about them and tell them, this is so great. Everyone's going to want to buy this because the character is awesome. The setting is great. Your store is I work with people all over the country. So if your store is in North Carolina, you should sell our book because this book is set in North Carolina. So take this book. So I love reading the books, and I love talking about them. And I think a lot of people who work in publishing will say that their favorite part is just reading books, because we get to do it all the time. No matter what department you work in, you get to read a book no matter what. I think the challenging part for my job in sales right now is is that it's hard to get people to take these books. You really have to work hard to convince someone that this is the book that is going to be the best for their store, and that their customers are going to want to buy this. Sometimes people are hesitant to try new books. They want to rely on an author, someone like Stephen King, who always writes books, and they know those books will sell, and they just want to take those. But trying to get people to try new things is very different and very challenging.
Convincing other people is hard. Yeah,
exactly. When I worked in editorial, it was really hard to so when you work in editorial, you get all of these authors who wrote a book. They're called submissions. They submit their manuscripts to you, and you have to read them. And you can't publish every single manuscript that you read, because you just get so many. We get thousands a year. So having to say no to people and say, sorry, your book, we can't publish it right now, that was so hard. And that was so challenging, because a lot of these authors, they've worked so hard on these books, and they're great, but there are just some out there that are a little bit better, and we have to go with those. So it's so hard to say no to authors.
True. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay. My, I've been always wondering how editors like pick up books, like for those books which are worth publishing. Like what kind of things editors like look for?
Yeah, so there are quite a few things that editors look for. First, when you read it, is it enjoyable? Are you enjoying reading it as a person? Um, are the characters good? Are you interested in what is happening to them? Do you like the setting? Is it believable? For fiction books. For nonfiction books, they look at, is the author presenting facts as opposed to an opinion? Then they look at the author themselves for fiction and nonfiction. Has the author written any books before? If they have they sold well? Um, then they look at, we call this a competitive analysis. We usually ask the author to submit 3 to 5 books that they think are similar to their book that have been published before. So then we look at that and we see, is their book as good as some of those other books that have been published? Is their book not as good as some of those other ones that have been published? And is their book too similar to those? And in the market, is the market saturated with those types of books? I'm trying to think of an example. Like right now, self-help books are very popular, and crystals and wellness are very popular. So we look at the market and say, are there 50 books about crystals right now? And if there are, maybe this book about crystals that we're looking at, there's no room for it right now. It will get lost and no one will buy it. But if it was, say, how to do calligraphy, and there was only one other book on how to do calligraphy in the market, that's a better sign for us, because that means people want this, but there's not a lot of options for them. So we can publish a new book and they can have another option.
I see. Yeah.
So those are the things to look for.
Yeah, based on market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trends. Yeah, these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you also find that there's certain time of year to be busier than others, or pretty much constant flow?
No, there are definitely busy times and off times. Summer is usually an off time for publishing. It's just very slow. People are traveling a lot, so not every store is busy in sales. And it's a good time for editors. That's when they're usually reading and looking to find new authors for next year at that time, because they have more downtime so they can read. Fall and all of publishing is known as the busy season, from September through December. That is when publishers schedule like their big books of the year. The books that they think will be bestsellers always come out in October, November, and early December. The idea behind that is because they want people to buy them for the holidays, Christmas gifts, Hanukkah gifts, New Year's. There's one of the big trends in publishing is New Year, New You, where people say, okay, the new year is coming. I want to try a new diet. I want to get into exercise. So they buy all of those books during November and December. So that is the busiest time of the year for all of publishing, because everyone is trying to make sure these new books are going on sale correctly, that they're in stock, that there is no back order. So it's always the busiest time. That's the time where everyone runs around and is like, oh no.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In general, for students who are interested in this career, what type of interests and the skills would help the person to be successful in this field?
The biggest, most important one is you have to like to read. You have to enjoy it. If you don't, you're not going to like working in publishing. And you can read anything. There are lots of opportunities to work on the type of books that you like. So you can work on only fiction books if you want. You can work on only mysteries if you want. You can work on memoirs if you want, or biographies, or history books. So you can work on the type of book that you like, but you just have to like reading, because it's such a big part of the job. You should also have good writing skills, because we do write reports. Editors write summaries of their books. They write little book reports about what the books are about. In sales, I write book summaries for my store so they can know what the book is about if they don't have time to read it. So good writing skills, good editing, good grammar, That's very important. And good communication skills, because it's very much a people industry where you're always talking to people, you're working in a team, you're talking to your authors, you're talking to the stores that will sell the books, you're talking to the marketing and publicity team. So good communication and good people skills are also really important.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Very useful. Thank you. Yeah. Any advice would you give a student who are going to get into this field?
Yeah, I would say definitely if you're interested, try to do an internship when you're in college or even high school. Some places will take a high school student. It's a great way to just dive in and learn more. And when you are doing an internship or when you are interviewing or looking to be in publishing, try to network as much as possible, because everyone is very friendly and everyone wants to help everyone out. And you never know if someone will come across a job opening and be like, oh, I met that person. We had a coffee together and that was really great. Let me recommend them for this job.
Okay, that's great. Okay, very good. Thank you, Amy. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. If anybody has questions they want to ask Amy and ask team department, just feel free to email any questions at teams@levitonpl.org, and we'll answer your questions. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Let me